Lee, what do you want the world to know about you?
I guess people will be interested to know that I'm a stand-up comedian without a voice. Which sounds pretty weird, and it most definitely is.
Hey everyone, welcome to SBSK, the YouTube channel where you'll meet friends who live with many different conditions. While watching these videos, you'll notice one thing. Although humans are incredibly diverse, we all have so much in common. So without further hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
How did you get into this field?
My mate suggested that it might work and that I should give it a try. Of course I thought he was crazy and I didn't take much notice. But the idea stuck in the back of my mind. Eventually I decided to give it a try because I knew I would regret it if I didn't. And my mate was proved right.
Would you feel comfortable showing us a little bit of your skit if I jump behind the camera?
Do I have to keep it clean?
Let's say PG-13.
As you may be able to tell, I'm a struggling stand-up comedian who also struggles to stand up. To be honest, I'm not sure which I am worst at. I'll leave that for you to decide. But, just so you know, if you don't laugh at the disabled guy, you are going to hell. I have lived in Newcastle all my life, but for some reason, I still haven't picked up the accent. However, if you are trying to place my accent, it's from PC World.
What is your diagnosis?
I have cerebral palsy, which, in my case, means I have no speech, I walk very funny, and my right side of my body is weaker than my left. I have had this since I got ill when I was 6 months old. So I'm pretty used to it by now.
How has CP affected your dating life?
I think it's made it harder to date, for sure. But then again, that might just be me being my usual paranoid self. I've never really been that successful with the ladies. I would try speed dating, but by the time I typed out my answer, it had be time to move on to the next person.
Do you ever experiment with the voices on your device?
I realize that my own voice doesn't really suit me. I look young, trendy and down with the kids, but my voice sounds like it belongs on a children's storytelling program. You may be wondering why I chose to sound like a posh version of RoboCop. Let me demonstrate.
The alternatives were not much better. I didn't really want to sound like this.
And I really didn't want to sound like this.
And I'm not the type of guy who can sound like a gangster rapper.
Have you found that people treat you different before the show as compared to after?
That's a really good question because I've never really thought about it. But I think they do, yes. I don't think they realize I'm going to be performing when they see me beforehand in the bar or whatever. So I think it surprises them when they see me get up on stage later on.
What are some of the reactions you've gotten that just make you laugh?
I actually got asked if I was a character act after one of my shows once. I just can't understand how someone can watch me on stage for half an hour and still think that I'm faking it.
Wow.
Because it's socially acceptable to pretend to be disabled for the sake of entertainment, obviously.
Were you offended at it?
No, because I got 10 minutes of material out of it. I'm rarely offended at anything these days. And I think that's because I've heard everything that anyone can possibly say before.
Is comedy your full-time job?
Yes, I've been a full-time comedian now for about 3 years. And people are still letting me get away with it.
How do you do timing as a stand-up comedian who uses a communication device?
Obviously it's harder to get timing right because I can't really stop and start when I want. I think it's trial and error really. I definitely got better at knowing when to pause for laughs and so on. And I'll add extra punctuation into my text to give me the chance to pause it. But I also think it's much funnier when my timing goes wrong anyway.
Do you get off on the audience feeling a little bit awkward?
All the time. People have often asked me why I want to put myself in a position where everyone can stare and laugh at me. The truth is that it happens to me every day anyway. At least this way there's a scheduled time and place for it. I like to think I'm providing a public service, which is more than the government is doing at the moment.
When your machine is reading what you've typed, would you prefer for the person you're talking to look at the machine or look at you?
I guess to look at me, but I can appreciate that it's hard when the sound is coming from elsewhere.
Does that create a barrier in communication sometimes? Like, do you feel like you're not connecting as much as you could?
I suppose so, yes. Especially with people that don't know me and aren't sure what is happening. Some people don't realize I have to have time to respond, which makes it really awkward sometimes. I would just ask them to be a bit more open-minded. I think that people are so used to the traditional way of communicating that when something different happens, then it throws them a bit. I guess it comes down to having a better understanding of how everyone is different in general.
Do you often just go and sit and have a cup of coffee with someone you're meeting for the first time and use your device to communicate?
Yes, but I'm much more comfortable when I'm with people I know. I do sometimes have to meet new people though, and that makes me nervous. But I manage to deal with it. I guess it's just as scary for the other person as well.
So you feel nervous around new people, but you're a stand-up comedian. What in the world?
I'm very self-conscious, so this is the worst job I could have. I guess I just find it difficult on stage because I'm not face-to-face with anyone. It's almost as if they have to listen to me. I think that comedy has given me a voice for the first time in my life. I think being a stand-up has made me much more confident in myself as well.
So you have a bit of a masochist in you.
I think every comedian does.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to meet people who live with the condition from all over the world and learn how to better connect with the people around you, take a moment and subscribe. Appreciate it.
Before I turn off the camera, is there anything else you want to say to the world?
As much as I hate to be an inspiration, I admit that sometimes other people see me as one. And that can only be a good thing if it helps them. So I would say that almost anything is possible if you put your mind to it. I'm not even that funny, and I've managed to make a living out of being a comedian, so everyone else can do whatever they want as well.